Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of People to People's podcast, Ahead of the Curve. My name is Suhini Wijayasinghe, and I'm the Head of HR Solutions here at People to People. I'm thrilled to be hosting this 10-part series where we're going to be diving into the world of work across Australia, sharing real career stories and big ideas that are shaping the job market today. We're going to be having a variety of different guests on here, all of whom are industry leaders and experts in their field, and we'll be asking them to share their career journeys and talking about what they've done to get where they are now, the challenges that they've faced, and what they're doing at the moment to stay ahead of the game. We'll also be breaking down career trends so that you can get insight into shaping your career into 2025 and beyond. Our first guest today is an ex-martial arts trainer, retired cage fighter, has enough energy to put the Energizer Bunny to shame. He's an entrepreneur, a fitness nut. He's the head coach and co-founder of Ramp Fitness. Welcome to the show, Matthew Papallo.
Thank you. That was quite an introduction. That was great.
And very worthy. And, I just want to ask, how does it feel to be our first guest?
Amazing. It's an honor. From everything I know about this podcast, I'm really excited to be on here and just to share the journey and where we've started to where we are now. There's going to be so much to unpack, so really excited.
I'm really excited to have this journey with you. And look, in the spirit of full transparency to people that are tuning in, you've indirectly been involved with People to People, I want to say, for 7 years?
6-7 years, I would say.
Yeah,
yes.
And essentially keeping the leaders of HR Solutions fit and healthy for that time.
Humbly, yes, I would say so. Yeah.
So that's so for those of you at home, I met you through Liz Jones. Liz Jones is the managing director of our UK office. Hello to Liz. And you prepared Liz for a corporate fighter event.
Correct. Yes. So Liz first came to me and she just wanted weight loss. And she actually said to me, she goes, if you can help me lose weight, I can get you so many people coming to your training. And I went, cool. Okay. That's lovely. And then about 2 weeks later, she comes back to me and she'd already lost a little bit of weight. And she said, I've enrolled into corporate fighters. Now you need to train me, because she knew that I had a background in martial arts.
Yeah.
Now you need to train me for this fight. And I went, oh, this is going to be awesome. This is great.
Yeah. And corporate fighter is a boxing match.
Correct.
That's right.
Yeah, boxing.
Yeah.
And I still remember the whole journey. I think she had 12 weeks to get up to it. And I remember the night of the fight, and she just she performed so well. And I was so proud. She won the fight.
Yeah.
And for me, I just sat back and went, yes.
It's almost like a mythical tale here at People to People about the fact that, there is someone who has been in the boxing ring and won.
Yeah.
And then she referred you to me, and that's been a journey. And I've been able to witness that growth from when you were a PT on your own. And exactly.
That's right.
And
then
business.
you brought your husband.
Yes.
He came on board, and then it grew from there.
It just kept growing and growing. And that's what I want to talk about today. But look, before we get too far into Ramp and where that is now and how that's come about, talk to me about what you were doing professionally pre-Ramp.
Oh, okay. I will probably take us back to when I was 7 years old. And there's a reason for this, because that's when I really guess I decided on what I wanted my career to be. So when I was 7 years old, that's when I first started martial arts, was karate.
Right.
And it was a specific style of karate called Shotokan. They're all kind of different styles of this. But once I got into that, I started the whole journey. And when I turned 12 years old, I then transitioned from karate into what's called jiu-jitsu, traditional jiu-jitsu, not Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Bit of a difference. But once I got into that, I realized I want a profession around being an instructor, because I saw these instructors and I really aspired to be like them. I was like, these guys, they can just walk in a room and people respect them. They walk in a room. Yeah, it was a presence. Yeah. And it wasn't just with adults, it was with kids as well, because they were teaching adults in kids classes. So I looked at it and thought, wow, I just marveled at that. And I thought, that's amazing. I didn't care about the money. I didn't care what they earned. I had no idea at that age. So I started by 12 years old. I started doing like a little coaching course as an instructor. And then by the time I turned 16, to be an instructor, you have to be a black belt. Yeah. So I got my black belt at 16. Then from there, I started
I did not know that about you.
There you go. Yeah. And then I started instructing from 16 all the way until I was 21.
Right.
And then the business took a bit of a turn. I then decided to leave, and then I got into becoming a gym manager. So it grew from there, but it really started from that whole martial art phase. And I looked at it and went, that's amazing. Just to be able to connect with people and to have that rapport, but also that presence where it's a respect thing. Yeah. It's not a thing where you've got to come in and just yell at people. It was just really about the whole connection and making a difference to people's lives. Yeah. And that for me was just foundational. Yeah. Really, really was.
That's amazing.
It started all the way back there.
Yeah. And so what were some of the key lessons that you learnt during that time, you know, when you were in that age gap, really you said between 16 and 22 and then you became a gym manager. What were some of the key takeaways in the early days of your career that inspired you to do the way that you do business today?
A few things really stick out. I'm going to say systems. So martial arts itself, you're not getting your end result in a couple of months or a year. Yeah. It's a whole path, right? Yeah. So once you get to a black belt, they say once you're a black belt, that's when you've learned how to mimic the instructor. From black belt onwards is when you're starting to master it yourself. Yeah. So I looked at it and went, that must apply in business and in life in general. Yeah. So the whole system of somewhat what we've got at Ramp is almost identical to our martial arts structure where as the business, we're adding things in, where we're learning, we're adapting, and that's the whole kind of philosophy of martial arts. It's about going with what is coming against you and using it to somewhat your advantage. Yeah. So I guess I really applied that and I learned that. So systems for me was the whole thing. Yeah. I thought to myself, you can't be as successful as you think you can be unless you have a system in place and the foundations. Yeah. That's the whole thing. Like in martial arts, they teach you a certain form. And if you don't have that right, you can't master the full movement. Yeah. So you have to start from the ground and work up. And it's the same as in business. Yeah. And, you know, that's really interesting because from a layman's perspective in terms of martial arts, you kind of think black belt and that's it, right? That's right. That's just what you know in the stereotypical vernacular of martial arts. You get black belt and you've peaked. Yeah. But there's so much more to that. And I think that really ties in within business there, the concept of the infinite game, which I'm definitely heavily borrowing from Simon Sinek here. That's right. And, you know, it's that concept of it's not about just going for a particular win. It's just consistently growing and continuing on. Yeah. And you hit it nail on the head. Yeah. It's literally you get to black belt and you have to then start doing it. It's like when you, I guess, in the world of business or university, you get your PhD and you've learned it all to know, but then to get your PhD, you have to do a thesis. We have to kind of create your own thing, right? Yeah. Same sort of thing. Yeah. You just have to keep developing, keep learning. And that's, for me, it's like this. Fundamental. Yeah. Something comes along, you go, oh, there's no handbook on this. How do I respond to this? You have to have resilience. You have to have good foundations. Yeah. That's where it starts. That's the crux of it. So, talking about Ramp Fitness now, so your baby, along with Ramis as well. So talk to me about what Ramp Fitness is for a start and what makes it unique in the fitness industry. So there's quite a few things that come to mind. What makes it unique is it's personal training, but as a personal trainer, you're trading your time for money. Where Ramp Fitness, we don't trade time for money. So for example, people are watching this thing going, oh, I know what personal training is about. Or if people are going, I don't know what it's about. What's it about? In a nutshell, you're paying the trainer time for money. So you're going, hey, can I get a 1 hour session? Yeah, sure thing. It's going to be $100 an hour. Great. But during that hour, the person will be doing their working set, for example, squats. And the trainer goes, cool, 2-minute rest. And the trainer's just standing there. So I went, essentially, I'm charging people for half the time. The other half time I'm standing there and kind of just talking to them while they're resting. So we came up with the concept of Ramp Fitness where we have up to 5 people in a 1 hour session, but they're all on individual programs. And when that one person is on their rest, we go to the other person, help them, spot them, set them up, and then transition back and forth. So people aren't paying for our time. So essentially it's a third of the cost, but 3 times the amount of value because we can get through the whole thing. Group environment. So people are talking to each other. Socially, it's fantastic. And people always leave feeling a lot better than when they first came in, mentally and physically. Yeah. And that is our core values. Yeah. That's amazing. And I want to unpack that a lot, but a little bit later. Because I think that's just some amazing things that definitely,
going through the journey with you where I did have you one-on-one.
Correct. Yeah.
And a little selfish me going, do I really want to share my PT now with 4 other people? And that was a little bit of a journey too. And I think we should definitely unpack that. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, I just want to go back to the beginning when you were creating Ramp Fitness, and what inspired you to establish Ramp, and how did you go about turning that vision into reality? Because it's all well and good talking about the dream that you want to do and everything else, but there is so much legwork that goes into bringing that to life. So, what inspired you to do it, and then how did you go about it?
What inspired me to do it was I was just really, really tired of seeing one trainer. So in Fitness First, there's one person, obviously one trainer, and then there's multiple other trainers. You can have up to 20 personal trainers within a Fitness First and an Anytime Fitness, right? And they are not all the same. You will have one trainer that is on their phone during a session. You'll have one trainer maybe eating their lunch while they're training some people. Then you have one trainer that's just there watching their client. My philosophy was they're paying for my time. They're going to get my time and everything to do with it. So I was always there. Whenever another member on the gym floor would watch me training somebody, generally they'd come up and go, oh, I like the way you train someone. Do you have room to train me as well? To which I'd say humbly, I'm so sorry. I'm actually booked out, but I wish I could. Yeah. And I came up to that idea and I thought, how do I have either more me's or more time to train more people? So then the idea kind of flourished from there. I went, okay, how can I have 5 people or 3 or 2, whatever it is, in a session, charge them less, but at the same time give them a better session? What would I need? And then I thought of the idea. I thought, I can't be in a big gym. It's too big. Like, I'm moving everywhere, right? So the gym will have to be small, which is what Ramp is. It's a 100 square meter kind of square room. Yeah. We have a second location called Ramp Physio and Fitness, which is 150 square meters and then about 80 square meters of physiotherapy room. So the whole idea was based on that, plus the whole subscription-based model of charging people their fees that way. And then it just grew from there. So the inspiration came from, I want to give people a better service. Yeah. I want to be able to train more people without them feeling like I'm not getting personal training, it's group training, blah, 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 because there's so much group training out there now. So I wanted to combine it all, and I wanted it to be unique, but at the same time, I want it to be able to last. So that's the whole point of the business. I want, whether you train with me or train with one of my other trainers, it's almost identical. Like I always use the analogy of like McDonald's chips. You go anywhere in the world and the chip's always the same. Yeah. You're not going to get a different place. Exactly. Yeah. So that's the whole point of our structure and our substructure. It's to keep consistency within the trainers and the whole brand. Yeah. That's what it's about.
Amazing. And looking back on those early days now, and hindsight is 2020. What would you have done differently when you were going through that process of creating Ramp and establishing it, if anything?
Yeah. What really stands out for me is I don't feel like back then when I was establishing it that I was scared, but I'm very much somebody that likes to measure risk. I'll take risk, but I'll measure it and I'll think to myself, if worst comes to worst, can I handle the worst case scenario? Yeah. And most of the time the answer is yes. If I were to go back, I probably would do everything the same, but the only thing I would do differently is I would probably be a bit more aggressive with myself in terms of going, okay, this is done, push a bit more, let's get the next thing done. Instead of going, let's just wait a week and just see how this part unfolds and test it. It's kind of like test multiple things at once. So I would, like Facebook, when you're on Facebook ads, you can split test ads. Yes. And that's what I've been doing in parts of my business. So I've had multiple things running at once that were trying to get the same outcome, but in different ways to see which one gets there quicker. Yeah. And I can give you examples of that later on, but that's probably what I would have done differently. I wouldn't have gone, let's just do everything like this and give it a month. Yes. I would have split tested a bit more. Yeah. And done a few things concurrently. Exactly. But it's also the appetite for risk, right? I mean, it's the first venture. Yes. You're trying to gauge everything. There's probably a lot going on. Exactly. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And what's been the reaction from the fitness community towards Ramp? Now it's been established for a couple of years. There's multiple locations, which have been amazing. So what's been the general consensus of the feedback? We get a lot of positive feedback and support from other fitness business owners. So a lot of people look at it and go, wow, that's a good idea. Yeah. Not only why didn't I think of that, but going, I kind of see what you guys have done, but there's a lot of time packed, so I can't really be bothered trying to copy that because we have so much intricate detail involved with what we do with our systems that it's almost hard. You can look at it and try and replicate it. You could, but there's just so much involved on a level where it's just so personal and detailed we aim for that anyway, where people will just look at it and go, another fitness business go, there's a lot there. I respect that.
Yeah.
So the feedback we've had is, one, other fitness businesses go, that's cool, that's a great idea. Then the actual people we service go, this is great, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I get my sessions. I can compare it to other personal training where I've paid X amount of dollars. I'm getting what they feel is a better service because it's more, as you probably experienced, it's kind of more full on.
Yeah.
Because we're working at a faster pace, but still directed towards your own goals, not as a group session.
Yeah.
So equally between our consumers and our competitors, it's been very supportive.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, I want to attest to that where, you know, I was training with you for probably, say maybe a year or two when it was just you and I.
It's about it was before
2021.
COVID happened. I'm pretty sure it was before lockdown happened.
Yes, it was, definitely.
Because then we started training park.
Exactly. And that was a journey.
That's
if that's not adaptability and being agile, I don't know what is. But I remember when we went through that journey and you were talking to me about opening Ramp and, you know, as a customer, I was a little hesitant because, you know, I was selfish. I loved our sessions together, and it was a little bit of the chin wag on the side, and it worked really well for me. And I was also thinking, oh God, it's a smaller gym. How's that going to feel? Like, you know, am I going to get in people's way and other people? And I remember having that sort of journey to when we first started at Ramp, and then just having this dawning realization of, I don't actually need you all the time. Like and I will preface this with for our viewers that the only reason I go to the gym is because of you. There is just no other reason I will not end up at the gym of my own volition. And I had to sort of acknowledge that and accept that I needed someone to push me. But then, and I was very scared of the gym. You know, it's very confronting. It's very daunting. There's so much equipment going on and I had no idea how to work it.
Absolutely.
So it was a whole bunch of different things, which I think is common for a lot of people.
It is.
And what I realised was it didn't take a long time, long before you even started Ramp. It maybe took about sort of, I'm saying a couple of months to maybe 6 months, where I was like, okay, it's great to have you right next to me, but I don't actually need you every second of the moment watching me do some push-ups or watching me do the rower, for example. Like, yes, technique's important, but I didn't need babysitting all the time.
Yes.
And then when I saw the cost difference between where we were and then where we got to at Ramp, plus the fact that I had access to your gym.
That's right.
And for anybody that was feeling hesitant about the gym being small, like, you're right, it actually ended up working well because you were just an arm's length away for me to go, Matt, how many reps did you want me to do?
Exactly.
Or am I doing this correctly?
And I can see you from exactly where I stand. I can see everybody. And that's exactly the key. That's the takeaway for you as the person being trained.
Yeah.
You want to have that security of knowing my trainer can see me at all times.
Yes.
If I'm doing a deadlift, I'm going to hurt myself. My
trainer. And you were there to spot me the whole time, everybody.
Exactly.
So I think that works really well. And it definitely was an adjustment for me as a customer. But I learned very quickly that it actually works wonderfully well in terms of the cost difference.
Correct, yeah.
And I thought it was great because you had all the babysitting, all the equipment was already changed for me by the time I already got around to it.
Exactly right, yes.
But it was not necessarily the one-to-one session, and that didn't feel as important anymore. So I thought that was a really, really cool adaptation of the PT model for sure.
But as you're saying, we've come from fitness first, where everything's like, it's a big gym, everything's spread out.
Yeah.
And if I were to say to you, okay, Suhini, we've just done deadlifts, let's go over to the treadmills, which are 100 meters down that way, and do a 1 minute walk, and then we'll come back to this.
Yeah.
There could be all the treadmills taken. We can't see
exactly. How many times do we go there and go, okay,
I've got to change
now.
things up.
Yeah.
Where everything is just laid out so it's efficient.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of it. That's the whole point of our system. And as I said, coming back to the whole martial arts, it's making things efficient and straight to the point.
Yeah.
Effective. Has to be.
Yeah.
Has to be.
So Ramp obviously started off at one location in 𝐮𝐧𝐝𝐿, and it's now, you know, in multiple areas. So talk to me about how the business expanded over time. What did that growth plan sort of look like after 𝐮𝐽𝐵𝐿, and where did you establish locations after that? And was there any particular thought process behind it?
Perhaps, I don't think a lot of people are aware of this, but prior to Ramp, I had obviously my personal training business, which was called MP Living, right? My initials, MP, and then Living. Because my whole idea behind this was I want to influence people on the way that I believe living can be done in terms of health and wellness, mental health. So I want to have that through my training, right?
Yeah.
And during that time, I started MP Living in 2015. And from 2015 to 2019, I made it a mission to be able to employ or contracts, whatever it was at the time, other personal trainers and be able to educate them on what I thought my system was, because I believed at that time my system servicing all these members, all these clients in a week. I know the trainers aspire to this.
Yeah.
I've got a system for even the financial side of things. I'm like, I don't know how personal trainers come into the industry and then leave 3 months later. Like they've got to basically study for a year to 2 years. They do it, pay anywhere from $5 to $10,000 to become PTs, and then leave 3 months later because it's too hard. So I thought, okay, I want to help these trainers. I'm doing this. It feels easy. How are these people struggling? So the journey for that and the premise of Ramp was MP Living was then trying to educate trainers, bring them on board, and then keep them basically in the industry. I used that model or that skeleton system and then brought it into Ramp and went, okay, I had one trainer at Anytime Fitness when I was there. Then when I left Anytime Fitness, went to Fitness First. I then at the time had 3 trainers that I brought on to me within the Fitness First.
Yeah.
But then Fitness First at the time had a bit of I would say a tall poppy syndrome where if you grow too high, they stop you.
Right.
And they go, because in the past, they've had about 2 trainers that had a team of 10 other trainers under them, decided to leave and set up their own thing. So Fitness First had an exodus of 10 trainers all at once, which is rents, members, all that sort of stuff. So they went, we can't have this again. Matt, you've got 3 trainers under you. We're going to stop you there. You can't have. And I went, mate, you told me I can just like build this. What's going on? So then I got to the point where I went, I'm out ahead here. I now need to either open up my own place, scary, okay, but I need to do it, or find a way to externally have trainers around the state, the country that I'm mentoring, which was a different kind of model. Yeah. So I decided to put the 2 together. So I opened up Ramp and then thought, okay, how do I get trainers to use Ramp within other gyms, such as Anytime Fitnesses, which we currently have. So currently we've got 4 locations within Anytime Fitness, which we call licensee clubs.
Yes.
And they have these trainers that are Ramp trainers, licensees of Ramp in the Anytime Fitness and using our same Ramp model, servicing the Anytime Fitness members. And we currently have 4 coming on to the 5th club. And that only started in 2023 in May. So this May will be 2 years that we've had that model. So it's almost like a business within our Ramp business because it's a sub-business. Yeah. Then we have our Ramp business, which is 𝐮𝐬𝐳𝐿. And then we have Ramp Physio and Fitness, which is in Homebush. Yeah. Same Ramp Fitness, but just with a physiotherapy clinic attached to it. And we work together in conjunction with that. Yeah.
I mean, that's the epitome of diversifying your options if I've ever seen it. So.
I looked at so many different options and I went, how can I service members, other trainers that need the help, both business and mentoring on the floor with people? How do I do this so that we can have a great impact to the members? Because our ultimate goal is to be able to bring affordable and effective personal training to everyone. Yeah. The whole idea is we want it to be that family name for personal training. Yeah. You currently have a couple of other brands that are doing that, but you're still paying $150 plus for 2 half-an-hour PT sessions a week, which sometimes you've got to be there on the dot. If you're not there, you're losing 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Oh, now you got to pay for the session, all this sort of stuff. Yeah. Well, ours is not even that model. No. It doesn't matter if you're late. We will still have that. We have so many things in play here.
Exactly. So having that full hour is really, I think it's critical, right? Because, you know, I think life gets in the way and sometimes you're a couple of minutes late or sometimes you're a little tired and you only want to do a 45-minute session. Correct. But you've got the option to do that. You've got the option to sort of mix and match whatever sessions that you want.
Where prior, you would say to me, if we're one-to-one at Fitness First, you would say, oh, Matt, I can't make, like, let's just say it's a 6 p.m. session. Yeah. And you message me at 6, go, Matt, I'm stuck in traffic. I'll be 15 minutes. And I've got a client at 6:45 because you've got a 45-minute session. I'll go, oh, Suhini, if you're running late, it's a big half an hour, but I've still got to charge you the normal rate. I can't discount. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. When our Ramp, that doesn't even matter. Yeah. You can come 15 minutes late, no dramas. It's not going to affect you or anyone else. We're still going to get it in. Not going to charge more. Even if you cancel it, we can cancel it, reschedule you. There's no cost. Yeah. This is what works.
There's a lot of flexibility.
Oh, so much. Yeah. So much.
And I really want to touch on that point about your investment into retention of your personal trainers. Because, look, turnover is such a huge issue for any business and attrition and how do you engage your employees and invest in them and keep them motivated and engaged. You know, that's such a hot topic everywhere at the moment. And I think you just something I just want to unpack a little bit is you mentioned that, you've got these people who are investing all of this money to become a personal trainer and then suddenly they leave in 3 months. And I think there's a real strong parallel with what a lot of Gen Zs are feeling at the moment, and to some degree millennials as well, where, we've invested all this money into a university degree and then the doors aren't opening as much.
You assume that it should.
It should. And I don't think that's necessarily a sense of entitlement. I also think that there is a level of investment that comes from the employer to be willing to train, to be willing to be adaptable to the different types of people that are capable of doing your job in different ways and sometimes better than what you originally thought. So what have you done to attract new talent into your business and new trainers, and what have you done to sort of keep them engaged and motivated and stay within the business?
So, two-part answer to that. Firstly, we have diversified greatly. So if you looked at our original model, and let's take, for example, the licensee clubs, our original model with that has changed dramatically from where it was to where it is now.
Yeah.
What we offer them, what we give them, the amount of value compared to what we were somewhat taking from them is like the complete opposite.
Yeah.
So when we first started, we were paying them obviously per hour as a contractor or as an employee where we pay them salary, but then they'd have to be with us for a year. And then we would then somewhat give them a percentage of their revenue share, things like that.
Yeah.
That is what 95% of personal training businesses do with their employees. Otherwise, they just pay them per hour and they're contractors. And I think to myself, where's career progression with them? How do we give trainers more options?
Yeah.
So for 2 years, as I was saying, split testing different models. I had a trainer at Pennant Hills, a trainer at St. Ives, and I was like, I'll do this with this trainer, I'll do this with that trainer, and I want to just see what happens. Even with offers to the members in that gym, I'm like, try this offer.
Yeah.
You're going to try this offer. They wouldn't know what was going on between the two of them.
Right.
But we were just trying to work it out. So this way, I'd go, that's one that works. Let's put this together and launch it with everybody, right? Yeah. But now where it's up to is we don't even take a revenue share. We literally just say, here's your license fee. And here is the cost of like the rental for the Anytime Fitness Club that we pay, that you reimburse us. And it's literally equates to them having 3 members. So if they have 3 members, which any trainer should be able to get on a monthly basis, that's the cost of their outlay for their running of their business.
Yeah.
They don't have what we do where it's like you have a 5-year lease plus 5 years. Theirs is a 1 year and then it's 3 months notice to finish. So their risk is so low.
Yeah.
Their investment is so low. But at the same time, their profits and what they can do, their impact is so high. So where the opposite was what we originally had.
Yeah.
So the first part to your question, the answer is we diversified and tried to make it as attractive as possible and almost like a no-brainer offer in terms of mentoring and opportunity for these trainers. And now it's really accelerating, which is great.
Yeah.
And our trainers are getting so many more results, signing up so many more members, but in an enthusiastic way for both the members and the trainer, because they're going, cool, I can run a business and make so much more money because their company is taking a lot less and giving me so much more. Yeah. So they feel like I want to thrive.
Yeah.
Then your second question was, how do we upskill them or how do we continue their enthusiasms?
Yeah.
We do fortnightly. Well, every week I touch base with every trainer.
Yeah.
We'll do a call. I'll do a start of week summary. How's this going? What are you doing this, etc. Then an end of week summary. How have you gone with this? What have you implemented? How'd you go with this, etc. Every quarter we do an in-person meetup where we get all that stuff together and we'll do like about 2 hours worth of content, talking about certain topics. We'll do like a panel where a trainer that's really stood out, we'll get them in and we'll go, how have you done this? What are you doing? What can you share with the group? Just really honing in on that.
Yeah.
And so every second week, I'll do an upskilling video. So I'll type something up or write something and do a video and then post it in our trainers group.
Yeah.
And then help them upskill. So continue development.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So many different avenues. Yeah. But I always find keeping contact with them, giving them things to work on. So end of month, end of week summaries, but then upskilling is essential.
Yeah.
So we always on top of that.
Yeah.
And they're using our model. So at the same time, their success is our success. Even though we take a flat rate, whether they have 10 members or 15 members, 20 members, it doesn't make a difference to us. Yeah. But it makes a difference to me knowing that PT, because the cost of living in Sydney isn't, $800 a week covers your rent and your mortgage and all this. Doesn't happen.
No.
So a trainer has to be making a decent amount to be able to support a family. And I thought to myself, if I was them, would I take this offer?
Yeah.
Original concept was, hell no, that's not enough.
Yeah.
This concept is like, mate, if Ramp Fitness closes down, I'm just going to open up my own licensing card.
Yeah.
It'll be all fine. There's no dramas there.
They can continue.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think something you mentioned there that is a really important point in the engagement piece is the consistency of contact from a leader. And I think a big trap that a lot of people fall into is, someone can be fantastic operationally at what they do. So Matt, you being a great trainer and super enthusiastic about it, that doesn't being operationally great at something does not necessarily translate to being a people leader. No. I think there is an element of not that people can't learn it or be capable of it, but I think there needs to be an acceptance of the fact that this is a different scope. Just because I can delegate and do the job that I'm expecting my employees to do well does not necessarily translate in me being able to inspire them and motivate them and give them and instill that drive in them to want more, right? Like it's a totally different beast.
Exactly right.
Okay, so the final question I kind of wanted to talk about this, when Ramp was upscaling and growing, was there a pivotal moment that made you go, okay, it's time? Like, this is the time? Or did it happen very organically and naturally where you didn't really have to think much about it? Or was there that key moment where you went, okay, it's time to go?
We need to upscale.
Yeah.
Good question. Was there a time when I looked at it, it wasn't from a point of desperation. It's not like we were losing members and we need to find a way to make more money. It never has been, it still isn't from point of view of making money. It was a point of view of going, I want Ramp to be different, unique, but also I want it to be creating a service which is unparalleled. People aren't going to go, I'll just go down the road and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You won't find this anywhere else. Yeah. That's what I want. And that's what, funnily enough, keeps me ahead of Curve.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look at it and go, I want to continue doing this.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a never ending cycle, as you were saying before.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
We keep reinventing.
Yeah.
And even once we've reinvented, I look at it and go, that was a good idea that we just implemented, but how do we make that idea even better? It's just keep going with those steps forward and it's never perfect.
Yeah.
We just continue to grow and evolve.
Yes.
So was there a pivotal moment? I'm going to say no. It was more so natural progression and just the drive. As I was saying to you when I first started, what would I change? I would change being more aggressive with it. So where we've gone from when we started in September 2022 to now it's March 2023. So let's just say September this year is 3 years. Would I have thought that we could have done more? Possibly, but I'm very proud of where we are. Yes. But at the same time, this has, to answer your question, been very organic.
Yeah.
And it's only because of the years prior to that when I had MP Living that I looked at it and went, I want to build this. Ramp was that pivotal moment. When we opened up Ramp, I went, okay, this is the thing that we need to now push.
Yeah.
Now, how do we push it? What's our time frame? What does it look like? And it's just building from there.
Yeah.
Simply building from there. So organic, but at the same time, there's no such thing as an overnight success.
Yeah.
This has been years in the making. As I said, 2015, so August this year is 10 years that I've been in the industry.
Yeah.
And I'm now here on this podcast with you talking about the journey. Hasn't taken me a year. It's not like something I created last week and gone, this is a good idea.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen. It's like, this is what's happened. This is where we're up to. It's taken time.
Well, that's a good segue into our next question because obviously being a business owner and an entrepreneur, there's a lot that goes into it. It's all consuming and it takes up so much of your world, and I'm sure you just think about it non-stop day and night. But then you've got your wonderful family at home, your wonderful wife, Viv, and your beautiful little girl, baby girl. And so how do you juggle the very important personal responsibilities that you have towards your family and all the commitments that you have to your employees and Ramp and all that comes with it? How do you manage?
Okay, let me start from this way. Just like a business partnership, your life partner has to know what they're getting into. Like I know what I'm getting into when I married Viv in terms of personality, her goals, my goals. If she said to me, I don't want to have kids and I want to be a businesswoman and I want to run my own business, I would have probably said, that's fantastic. I think you could do that. But obviously I'd love to have children and I want to be a business person.
Yeah.
And not in the same industries, but it doesn't matter. But perhaps our things aren't aligned. And I always have looked at it and gone, if I didn't have Viv, who is obviously right now, obviously we've just had our first child, beautiful, love it to bits.
Yeah.
If Viv wasn't on top of that and running that, like something like a business, running that, how she does it, there's no way that I'd feel comfortable running the business how I can.
Yeah.
So she helps me to free up time, and then I help her in the ways, obviously how your traditional marriage happens where the male provides and the female is providing at home, so to speak.
Yeah.
We somewhat have that kind of structure, but it would not work if we didn't dominate in both our areas.
Yeah.
And she dominates in that area, I dominate in this area, and it works.
Yeah.
So to answer that question, I am able to manage my business and my personal life because I'm allowed to, and that's what helps.
Yeah.
If I had a different partner, it probably wouldn't work as well. Viv isn't the type of person who is demanding of my time because she understands if I don't have the time to work on my business in it and on it, then there won't be growth.
Yeah.
And growth then obviously affects her.
Yeah.
So it works hand in hand.
Yeah.
Do I put a cap on how much I do in a week? No. If there are things that need to be done, it needs to be done.
Yeah.
For example, on a Sunday, my philosophy is if I can do 1 hour on a Sunday while Viv's asleep, and I'll wake up at my normal wake up's 4 a.m.
Yeah.
If I wake up at 6 a.m., I'm a bit of a sleep in. Awesome, right? But if from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., I'll make a coffee, I'll sit on my laptop, and I'll do an hour undisturbed on my laptop on any facet of the business. That's an hour on a Sunday. It's an hour a week.
Yeah.
52 weeks a year. That's 52 hours of powered hours that I've put into the business that I wouldn't have had if I just said, Sunday's my day off, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So I've consciously chosen to do efficient work rather than going, just something's happened, okay, respond to it. It's like, no, there's a time and a place.
Yeah.
So I will definitely choose, and it's a week-to-week thing, when I'll go, okay, I'll make sure this will happen. But on this time of day or this time of night, I want to sit down with my wife.
Yeah.
I want to go out for dinner.
Yeah.
My phone's there. Someone messages me. I'll look at it and my wife will go, put your phone away. And I'll go, okay, I can put it away, or I need a response.
Yeah.
So I'll still decide that.
Yeah.
So it's very much a balance, but it does come down to making sure your partner is in tune with that balance.
Yeah.
That's a key thing.
Yeah. And I think it's funny, isn't it? Because it sounds very unromantic to kind of be like you have to almost project plan your life. But really, irrespective of whether you're a business owner or not, there is that element of being able to plan your life with your partner to go, this is where I need to invest my time, and this is, these are some of the non-negotiable things, and whatever that might be and whatever that might look like between two parties is, I think that communication piece would be so important. But that's great insight. So what I want to do now, though, is actually talk to you a little bit about the millennial dilemma, as we call it. So, I think we're both millennials, actually. I'm pretty sure we're both millennials. I have actually been classified as a geriatric millennial. So apparently, because the scope of millennial is quite large, I think it can go anywhere sort of from that early 80s period to I think 96.
I was going to say late 90s.
And so that's quite a large scope. And I think within the millennials, there's quite a ferocious sort of battle sometimes of, oh, you're not a true millennial, or you're too far into the 90s to really. But putting aside all of that, I think the one thing that we can all agree on is, particularly in the landscape of work, we are the generation that, lived in both the analog and the digital space, which is, both bizarre and fantastic at the same time. And, we were molded, for better for worse, by our baby boomer managers and mentors and parents who all, taught us the life skills that we have and how to function at work. And we are now a lot of us are stepping into management positions or people leading positions. And we're now dealing with this new fresh wave of Gen Z who come in with very different ways of thinking and approaches to work. Again, for better, for worse. There's just no judgment on that on either end of the scale here. But it does pose the dilemma for us as millennials, because we are trying to make these two worlds meet somehow.
And we're stubborn in certain ways.
Oh, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. And so, and we are, we have certain traits, again, for better, for worse, that we can get judged on. So, I think this shift really presents challenges, opportunities, and particularly in the fitness industry, I can imagine the merging of those worlds happens in very different ways, both from a management perspective to an employment perspective and to a customer perspective as well, right?
Yep.
There's very different needs that everybody wants.
We have a range of people that comes to us to ramp to train.
Yes.
That range in age, so you have to know how to obviously talk to them differently, because one of our members, and funny you say you just mentioned this.
Yeah.
I want to say she's 15 or 16, and she just signed up with a mum.
Yeah.
And she said something to me. She goes, "That's cap," and I went, "I don't know what that means."
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know what cap means.
Yeah.
But is it cool? She goes, "No, it's not cool."
No.
I went, okay.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, what's the opposite of that?"
Yeah.
Thinking there must be an opposite. She's like, "There's no opposite." Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Or there's something. Well, Riz, that took me a while to work out what it was.
I didn't know.
Apparently, that means charisma.
Charisma.
Exactly. Yeah. But see, this is why apparently we are geriatric millennials. We don't know this.
Of course.
Yeah. So, but I mean, in that spirit, with all of the variety of personalities that we deal with, what have been some of the key differences that you've noticed between how or the things that you've learned from the baby boomers, whether it's from management style or just mentorship, and how does that contrast to the way, say, some of your Gen Z employees enjoy being managed?
The best way for me to start this would be saying it took me a while to realize where my drive came from, my drive, but also my passion. And I first realized it when I was actually seeing a psychologist, because it was during COVID.
Yeah.
And at the time, everyone was, you were up and down, you know where you are, right? And I was like, I need to speak to somebody. And it was just things about business, things about life. I wanted to understand myself more. And I always felt like talking about it was great, but I want to talk to somebody that wouldn't have a judgment on it and that doesn't even know me. So they can help me unpack it. And I realized that my father he's retired now, a captain for Qantas. So he was a pilot. Yeah. And I always looked at it and I was so envious of him, not on his job, but his passion to his job. Yeah. And he always would tell us and say, or I guess his parents would say that, your father used to go on weekends and just drive to the airport and just watch the planes take off. Yeah. I'm like, how boring is that? But then he just loved planes. Yeah. It was almost like a thing you look at and go, is this kid all right? He's just watching planes take off all day. But he was so passionate. And his parents, so my grandparents, were immigrants from Italy. And for them to have a son that went, I want to fly planes, they're like, dude, you're going to be a farmer or you're going to be an accountant. What are you talking about? You've got to go to university. Because we're farmers who come to this country. You need to be something which has security. Yes. What's a pilot? We know no one's a pilot. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, he had this whole upbringing of battling and like, I want to be a pilot. And then he finally got to the stage where he went to high school, didn't get the marks, repeated year 12, still didn't get the marks. Wow. Went, okay, how else can I get in here? So he had this mentality of, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen. Yeah. I'm going to keep it. So his resilience and his drive, but also his passion to be that, I looked at and I didn't realize it until I was probably late 20s. And I went, okay, that makes me understand myself. And why I look at it and go, cool. My whole structure for myself is just keep going. You know, you'll get knocked down, but literally get back up, go. It'll be all right. Just keep going, right? Yeah. You're going to cry. You're going to have a moment. Have your moment, but keep going. Don't let it stop you. Yeah. And that, I guess, came indirectly from my dad when I looked at him, because there are so many times that I was on the plane with him and I'd see him and you'd walk like out of the plane aisle and then the captains or the pilots standing there saying, bye, everybody. Blah, blah, blah. And I'd see all these people just respectively going, oh, thank you, Captain. And they'd look at him as like he was this superior person. I'm like, it's just my dad. Like, what are you talking about? But I saw that. And for me, I looked and went, great. Once again, that's something that I want. I didn't want to be a pilot, but I wanted to be passionate about my job and I wanted to be long-term. Yeah. So I look at this now and I think to the people that we're trying to become licensees, attract into our business. Some are young, like our youngest person who is almost our most successful licensee. He's just turned 21. I'm 33 now, turning 34. He's 21. Big difference. But his drive and his motivation is very similar to where mine was or is. And I'm looking at this going, you're 21 years old. I've had different experiences with people in this business that are your age that came in and almost had a sense of autonomy. We're going, hey, give this to me because why can't I have this?
Yeah.
Where his is the opposite. So for me, it wasn't a thing of, oh, it's your generation. It's just, this doesn't work. It wasn't true.
Yeah.
So I have such a different experience with different generations.
Yeah.
Because one of our latest licensees is my age and he's like same sort of mentality.
Yeah.
So I feel it's person to person.
Yeah.
And I also feel that the drive is really dependent on what they see long-term for themselves. And because so many people in our generation were, I guess, raised to be like, you get a smack, just keep going. What are you doing? I'm sure your parents were the same. They're like, just go. Like, don't stop.
Yeah.
Where this current generation, I guess, was raised, from my perspective, somewhat differently, in a way, a little bit more sensitive and being aware, which, as you said, there's no good or bad to it. It's just a different way of being raised.
Yeah.
But in the same regard, there's so much more sensitive to things, which is great because my parents weren't sensitive to how I felt or what I thought. Where these guys are like, you got to be sensitive to how I'm feeling. I'm like, that's actually a good point. Yeah. I didn't consider this. Yeah. Very true.
And I think it's also, you mentioned something about security, right? And that's I think you've hit the nail on the head in so many different ways, right? Because, again, my parents were first generation immigrants and, coming to Australia in the 90s, and it's a tough slog. Everything in your house is home brand. Like you see something color in the pantry and it's like, oh my God, and they toiled hard. And I think for a lot of baby boomers, it doesn't matter if you're a migrant or, you've relocated or whatever, there were tough times in there. There were good times and they were really tough times. And so for them, it's all about, what are you doing in your career that's going to give you long-term security? And I think we've all come through this huge change, although, you could argue there's lots of volatility in the world at the moment. And I think Gen Z are just primed and powered to go, do I actually need to do this in the way that you're telling me to do it?
There's more options as well.
Exactly, because I have the security that I can go into multiple different things. Exactly. I can change my career.
Correct.
I have the power.
Plan A, you've got to go plan A. There's plan B, right?
B, C, D. It's the information age. Worst case scenario, I'm going to go on the internet and teach myself how to do something, build something, create something. Yep. And I think that puts in a completely different spin. And I think we can get caught in this trap of, oh, you're just taking things too easy. But really, it's just the beauty and the evolution of every generation should have it easier than the previous one. It should be better. It should be, but that doesn't take away from working hard, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
The work ethic, has it changed? I'm going to say to a degree, yes, because of the option. I feel like people just go, no, this doesn't work for me. See you later.
Yeah.
And then as an employee, we're like, I've invested so much into you. I've tried to teach you all these things, which is taking so much time and effort and energy.
Yeah.
Now you're like, I'm going to leave and become a bus driver. Okay, cool. Like, do you want to tell me this before we started?
Yeah.
No, I just thought of it now. Okay, no worries. Or I want to go and start up an online business or something. Okay, cool. Great. That's your prerogative. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Do I feel like it's a negative thing in terms of people's lives? No. Is it a generational thing? 100%. Because as we just said, there are so many more options. There were options when I was growing up, of course.
Yeah.
But when I left high school, the only options my dad gave me, because I was labeled as, you didn't do well in high school, you've got to get a trade. That's your option. That's the only option.
Yes.
You have to get a trade now.
Yeah.
You're not going to go to university, so all your other options are out.
Yeah.
So go do a trade. And I said, oh, okay, I guess I'll be an electrician. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I went and did electrical trade for 8 months.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the courage because I didn't want to I wanted to make my father proud. Yeah. But I was like, I can't be an electrician. I hate this. Yeah. So when they were away overseas in Greece, I actually quit the job. Yeah. And then enrolled into doing martial arts as a full-time, because that was when I was 18. So 16, 18, I was doing a part-time teaching. Yeah. And I left and was like, I want to do this full-time now. But I didn't have the courage to do it while my parents were around. I had to wait till they were on the other side of the world. Yeah. And then did that. So that was, I looked at it and I want more options. I want to be passionate about something, where I think this generation is now more so on, I've got options, passion or not, I've just got options. Yeah. Okay. So that's where it's left us.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have to be able to navigate through that.
We have to adapt to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So in terms of staying ahead of the curve, do you think that there are any trends or shifts in the fitness industry that you need to stay on top of?
There are a lot of new trends, but it's all focused towards being more personal, which I think is great.
Yes.
The change that is happening now, that's been happening for the past couple of years, which is now having a big shift, is going from people enrolling into big chain gyms like your Fitness Firsts, somewhat your Anytime Fitnesses, but your big gyms that people just sign up and get lost in the crowd and don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
That's our change to small group training, because people want something that's affordable, but want to be around like-minded people and want to feel a sense of community. It's very hard for a big gym to have that, because you've got salesperson at the front desk going, here's your membership, join up, 12 months minimum term, cool, go for golds. I'll tell a PT to contact you. PT never contacts them because they don't have any business skills.
Yeah.
And then they get lost in the crowd, right? Where now it's becoming a thing of join this gym because of the community, or join this small group training franchise because there's community and because you'll feel good about yourself. So the whole industry is moving from physically look great to now mentally feel better. That's where it's going.
Yeah.
And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
The biggest drawback with that is you're getting a lot of them just trying to replicate each other. So you've got F45s, then you got Fit Stops, then you got BFTs. They're all very, very similar, slight little points of differences. But for ramp, I sit here comfortably and I go, people can try and replicate it, but it's never going to be the same. And our whole model, our subscription-based system, is something that I don't sit here and go, oh shit, I've got to franchise this quick, otherwise someone's going to steal it.
Yeah.
Not at all. This is why I was able to kick back and go, let's make this almost perfect, instead of going, just go with it and I'll kind of fix it as I go along. It's like, no, not the case at all. So staying ahead of the curve is quite literally for us looking at the market and going, we're not going to be affected by this. Like, for example, where we are in 𝐮𝐬𝐳𝐝, I'm not sure if you're aware, but there's a business park across the road.
Yeah.
There is 1, 2, 3, now 4 different gyms there. There's a Club Line, which is a big chain gym. Then there is another boutique gym there. Then there's another gym, which is like a functional gym, like a CrossFit sort of thing.
Yeah.
Then there's a new gym that's just opened, which is the Fernwood, which is females only.
Yes.
Every one of those, have we had an impact or lost large amount of members when each of those open up? Not at all.
Yeah.
Because we're all very different. So when someone goes, oh, Fernwood's just open up, are you worried? I go, no, what am I worried for?
Yeah.
They run classes. There might be a personal trainer, but they're not doing it how we do it.
Yeah.
We're very different. Right. So we adapt in those ways. Yeah. And the trends, it's almost like we will make our own trend because we're in our own market, our own league, our own niche. Nothing else will affect us.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of a curveball question for you, because I'm really interested to see if this topic actually impacts your industry, because the word on everybody's lips, in the professional world is AI. You know, it's changing. It's one of those things you either embrace or get left behind. And it's definitely improved, certain aspects of working life. And I think it's just that element of unknown. Do you think AI will have any impact on the fitness industry? Do you think it will somehow threaten it in any way? Or do you think that there's elements about it that you could embrace and take advantage of?
Both. Personally, I think AI somewhat has been around for the past few years within the fitness industry, purely because you've got an online component and there are so many people, I'm going to say predate, like 5 years, give or take, maybe even before that. Actually, when I was teaching martial arts, I remember hearing about people running online training, and I went, how you train people online? How does this work? And that was probably about 2012, I'm going to say. That's when I remember hearing about it first. And that whole concept to me was like, how are these people doing it? And I kind of looked into it and I went, nah, not my thing. I don't want to do this. It's like a money-making thing. Yeah. But the service isn't there. I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to help someone properly. And that's what I didn't gel with. So to answer that in one way, I feel like it's already been around for ages, but it hasn't. If anything, it's helped shape the online personal training. Yeah. But it's not going to impact the in-person personal training, nor will it take over, because people will always want connection. Yes. People will always want another person. Yeah. Because and it's been proven through COVID, people that was working from home and then came into the gym when you were allowed to go out and about, people would go and go, oh my God, I just need to go talk to somebody. I'm sick of sitting in front of my laptop. So if I said, cool, our world is now, you're going to sit in front of your laptop, work from home, then you're going to have a personal trainer that's just going to be pre-automated or speak to you on the screen. You're going to be like looking at a screen for 8 to 12 hours of the day, and you're just going to be sitting there and then, okay, let's get up and do some squats. Okay, cool. but you're losing that human contact, which for me is the industry itself. People want contact. People want to be part of a community, not an online community. Some people do, but then shortly after they notice, they go, I want more. What is that? Oh, I kind of want to be around other people.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think, it's funny. I was making a joke about this with one of my friends. Again, we were talking about, the trends that millennials are doing, and it's somehow running clubs are all the rage at the moment with millennials.
Yeah.
And stemming from that is that sense of community, right? I think a lot of people scoff at the sort of gym community because there's that stereotype of gym bros and everything else. But then I think about, okay, I'm about to go out and see a comedy show this Thursday with some of the guys from Ramp and people who you make friendships with, and you're not going to get that from AI. And let's be honest, who is going to massage you with a Theragun at the end of the session?
You're not going to get that through AI.
It's not going to be AI, no, and that's the best part of the session after a minute-long play.
Exactly right, yes. After, to give some context to people, at the end of each session with your Ramp trainer, we've all got massage guns, Theragun massage guns, because I believe that's the leading brand for massage, percussion therapy, massage guns. And there's a particular way that I've taught all the trainers how to do it. And I think it's the best thing, because I always looked at it and went, I'm actually a remedial massage therapist. And I thought, instead of, some people feel uncomfortable going, I'll give you a massage at the end of your session. It's like, some people are don't touch me.
Yeah. And
but with a massage gun, it's different. You're like, oh, that feels so good. It's not invasive. You're not feeling like, oh, this guy's touching me, or like, what's going on here? Very, very different.
Yeah.
So
which AI
cannot do it. They can't do it.
Exactly.
No. So you will not get that experience.
Yeah. So where do you see Ramp Fitness now in the next, before we get too ahead of ourselves, so let's say in the next 5 years, where would you want to see it grow to?
In 5 years' time, I definitely see us, I'm not going to say franchised. I would say we've opened up more clubs, because I'd like to keep it private. Whether the franchise model is something we end up doing, I'd want it where at least the influence, but also the passion behind the brand stays there.
Yeah.
Because I see it time and time again where you have franchisees in other gyms, and there's just that care factor isn't there.
Yeah.
Because they're looking to go, oh, it's a good way to make money.
Yeah.
I don't want that. So I almost look at it and go, I want to keep it private and open up with other people that are either business partners, or you could have franchisees. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But definitely the next 5 years, we've expanded. We are now interstates. I definitely see that. And we are becoming more of a home brand where, as you would say from that movie, The Founder, talking about McDonald's, he goes, in each state, there's churches, then there's the McDonald's. And it's like every state has this. Yeah. And that's what we want. Yeah. And I look at it and think to myself, is it possible that maybe not every suburb, but across a lot of different suburbs, this is the case? Yes. Anytime Fitness has done it. They've got hundreds of clubs almost in every suburb. You could, like along Victoria Road here in Sydney, where we're on Gatesville, you're at Gatesville, you're Ryde, you're West Ryde, then it keeps going. It's like, mate, you could just have one of those and it probably would be enough. Yeah. But they're in every single suburb.
Yeah.
So why can't we have a Ramp Fitness that's servicing 100, 150 members maximum in these suburbs? Why not? So it's just about finding those passionate people, but also having a system that I know is packaged so tightly, taught so tightly and so well that we go, here you go, we're going to support you, learn all this, apply all this, and we're going to help you along the way and unpack it all for you. Yeah. That's where I'd want to be in 5 years' time, to be able to just duplicate it. Yeah. Not from a financial perspective, from the perspective of we're bringing this quality to the market and it needs it. Yes. For so many different reasons.
Yeah. And actually taking a little bit of a step back here, I just wanted to ask, now we've talked a lot about, where you want to see it grow and all the things that you do with the employees and the motivation and the engagement, but how do you make all of this and the back office stuff work? Because this is all the sexy stuff, right? Like this is the opening the clubs and getting people in and everything. But whether you like it or not, someone's got to do the accounting and someone's got to do the payrolling. So how have you been able to juggle all of that in the background?
When we first started, it was literally just what needs to be done. Okay, just do it. Whoever's doing it, just do it. Yeah. And we didn't even have the structure where we'd have weekly meetings. It was just, have you done this? Okay, and I'll do this. Yeah, you do that. It was just like, let's do it all. Yeah. Now the position we're in is we've got what you would say, call it like a general manager or the club manager, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have a retention PT and then you have a sales PT. The retention PT manages everything to do with retention of members of the club. Sales PT deals everything to do with the sales part of the club.
Yeah.
Each of those are different responsibilities. So if something happens, we can then go, that's the responsibility of the retention PT. Talking about, have you given the Member of the Month award? Have you organized our next event that we're doing with the group? Sales guy, this person didn't sign their contract, but they're training now. Are they aware of like, that shouldn't happen? That's your role. So there are things that we go and can process it because everyone has a role in the business, which we've got set up now. So the back end is it's very much automated in terms of the systems already put together. It's now just having the direct responsibilities of each trainer and each staffing member.
Yeah.
So you can follow, if something doesn't go to plan, you can actually look and go, that's this person's responsibilities. This didn't happen. Why didn't it happen?
Yeah.
Do you need more training around this?
Yeah.
Or did you intentionally do this for a reason? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just, this didn't happen. No one was delegated to do it. So I guess it's like, what's happening?
And I think that can be really easy to fall into that trap as a growing business, for sure.
Absolutely.
10-year plan?
10-year plan is we're still growing. We would say, obviously, nationally, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm still very much on the floor. I've always said to my business partner, Ramis, there's never a time where I don't want to be beating people.
Yeah.
Even if I would cut down my hours to stay on the floor 10 hours a week, whatever it be, I don't know, 2 hours in the mornings and then I wrap up. Cool.
And I'm just going to say my health and fitness entirely depends on your continuing of PT.
I'll always be there.
It's going to come to a halt very quickly.
So definitely, me personally, I will still always be on the floor.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see myself stepping in the position of managing and helping the other franchisees or people that are involved to upscale, manage, and continue to grow. Yeah. Because as AI, as different trends come in, we have to adapt, but we also have to grow with it. So I see myself being at the forefront of that and going, okay, this is what's happening, change. Okay, this is happening, let's implement this.
Yeah.
Let's split test this because I know how this can work. Let's do this. Because yes, trends come and go, but there are patterns to them. And there are ways that you can look at and go, this has happened before. It's slightly different, but I can see that 90%, this is probably what's going to happen. So I'm going to bank on this happening here. And if it doesn't work, it's like, okay, cool, that's a new experience. Yeah. But I didn't lose my whole business to it.
Exactly. And you've got to take some of those risks.
Yes.
All right. The moment you've been waiting for.
Okay.
It's time for the speed fire round.
All right.
Okay. So now I'm gonna list off a couple of questions because I want the viewers to get to know a little bit about you outside of the world of work. There'll be some work questions in here too, but this is all about just firing the first answer that comes out at the top of your head.
Cool. So don't think about it. Just
say it. Which could lead us into hot water. Who knows?
Oh, God.
But we're on the journey together on that. So let's do this. All right. Ready?
So is this where I tell my family to tune out?
Tune out.
Just stop listening now?
Depends on the answer.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
All right. Describe your business journey in one word.
Resilient.
What fitness trend will disappear in 5 years?
Oh, man. Big chain gyms.
Iced coffee or bubble tea?
Iced coffee.
Best career advice you've received in 5 words or less?
Make it happen.
Best excuse to skip a workout? I'm really keen to hear this one.
Oh, so many best excuse. Oh, man. I don't know where to go with this one. I've got so many inappropriate things and appropriate things. I don't know where to go with this.
We'll skip to that one.
Come back to
the next one.
Please.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No. No. Pineapple on pizza?
Yeah.
No. I thought you were going to say, pineapple, do you like it? I'd be like, yeah. Pineapple on pizza? Nah, I can't do it.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, look,
sorry to disappoint.
That's a chip in the friendship, but that's okay. We can move past it.
I don't judge if you're on it. It's fine.
Best thing about your Gen Z employees?
They are resilient and coachable. And
the best skill you learned from a baby boomer manager?
I would say what I just said. Just make it happen. Keep going.
Leg day or arm day?
Arm day. But although I do like leg day now, I do. I really do.
Leg day's my favourite.
Yeah, my wife said one time, your legs are looking skinny. And after that day, legs. I was like, I cannot let this happen. No.
And if Brand Fitness had a theme song, what would it be?
Let's just go with the Rocky theme song.
That has to be. Yeah. I can imagine you and Ramis walking out to the Rocky Balboa theme song. That actually works really well.
Yes.
But Matt, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I will see you for leg day tomorrow.
Well.
And